Tennis's fifth slam Indian Wells is well underway and promises to be another tournament to remember despite some pretty big names pulling out last minute. Simona Halep's return to the sport following her drug suspension is official, as we'll see her back out on tour within a matter of days. And we learn the future of Netflix's tennis docuseries Breakpoint, and it does not look too good. Hi, my name is Christian Basnight and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Defending women's champion Elena Rybakina withdrew from Indian Wells Friday due to illness. This is the same illness that forced her out of the Dubai Duty-Free Tennis Championships a couple weeks back in the quarterfinals. Now, before Indian Wells officially started, in her pre-tournament press conference, she said that she really wasn't confident on her, title defense hopes, as she hadn't really played or practiced a whole lot since withdrawing from Dubai. And of course, I guess she doesn't feel like she's adequately prepared for this tournament here in Indian Wells, or she really hasn't truly 100% gotten over that issue from Dubai. Now, that's 1,000 points down the drain for Rybakina, as she was, of course, the defending champion, but she'll likely still be ranked fourth at the end of this tournament. It's unfortunate too, because Rybakina has been playing very well this year. She won 2 500 titles in Brisbane and Abu Dhabi, and she reached the Doha 1000 final, falling to Swiatek in the final, and then of course she reached the Dubai quarterfinals with a strong run there. It is kind of annoying, as I am a fan of hers, to keep witnessing her withdrawing from tournaments, whether it be due to injury or illness. Remember, back in Roland Garros in 2023, she pulled out of the third round due to an illness there. So really, she just seems to be really injury prone, and it's kind of unfortunate to witness. I do wish her a speedy recovery in time for Miami in about a week and a half, where she is the defending runner-up there, so she's defending a lot of points there too. Now, another injury-prone former Indian Wells champion, Paula Badosa, pulled out a few days ago before the tournament even started, despite taking part in the tiebreak 10s exhibition ahead of the tournament. She withdrew to a lower back injury, and it is sad for Paula because she's very talented, and I think that she has a lot of slam winning potential. She played well earlier this year in Australia, but these injuries honestly are getting old. It seems like every single tournament, every 2 months, she's injured.
Check out this bitch.
Another Spaniard who withdrew from tennis paradise is, of course, Rafael Nadal. He's been struggling with that hip injury that sidelined him for practically all of 2023. Nadal had surgery on that hip in 2023, and he looked solid in his Aussie Open lead up in Brisbane, but he did aggravate that hip flexor issue during his quarterfinal against Jordan Thompson, and we haven't seen him on tour since. He did participate in the Netflix Slam in Las Vegas on Sunday, where he lost a narrow 3-set tiebreaker against Carlos Alcaraz, but of course that was only an exhibition, and Rafa still didn't look 100% there. He was set to play Milos Raonic here in Indian Wells on Thursday in the night session in the first round, but Nadal took to social media to let his fans know that he simply was not ready to compete in a tournament of this magnitude. It's unclear on when he truly will be 100% ready to return to the sport. Honestly, I don't even know if he really will be 100% at all in this point in his comeback, but it seems like he's definitely going out sad, to be honest, not being able to play big tournaments. Of course, he mentioned 2024 will likely be his last season on tour, and it kind of is reminiscent right now of Roger Federer and how he kind of went out kind of meagerly. Just the injuries were too much for him to handle. I think the best thing for Nadal to do at this point in his career is just to focus on having a solid clay swing and play his best at Roland Garros and retire after the Paris Olympics. He's already teasing a clay return on his Instagram story today, tapping his racket with his shoe, as insinuating like the clays on his shoe, and I really do hope that we see him in Monte Carlo next month. Focusing on the players who are playing in Indian Wells, young guns Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner started their campaigns well with solid victories. Sinner cruised past Thanasi Kokkinakis 6-3, 6-love to notch his 13th win of the season, as of course he went unbeaten. He's unbeaten thus far, winning 2 titles at the Australian Open and in Rotterdam. Alcaraz, meanwhile, who has not had the best start by any stretch to his 2024, dropped the first set to Italian Matteo Arnaldi before storming back to win 6-7, 6-love, 6-1. This was an important win for Alcaraz, of course, as his first win and first match overall since suffering that pretty kind of nasty ankle injury in Rio. He said that he felt physically good out there on court. He moved well out there on court, which is a great sign for Alcaraz fans. And I think kind of tactically, game-wise, Carlos learned a little bit too, knowing that he does not have to rely on flashy shots to get the job done. He can hang in there, outplay opponents from just using his solid ground strokes. That's something he really needs to keep in mind as he progresses through these tournaments, not only in this tournament, but throughout his entire career. 21-year-old Ben Shelton had to battle in his second round match against Czech 18-year-old rising star Jakub Mensik, winning 4-6, 6-3, 6-4. It was a tough opener for Shelton, as Mensik is an excellent player who's been on the rise and has been getting better each and every week. He most recently reached the Doha final, beating Andrei Rublev en route. I definitely see this being the first match of many between these two talented ATP stars. Other top men's seeds who progressed through in straight sets include Stefanos Tsitsipas, Alex Zverev, Andrei Rublev, and Alex de Minaur. Brothers Felix Auger-Aliassime and Francis Tiafoe also claimed straight sets opening round wins. The biggest scuff of the tournament thus far is 15th seed Karen Khachanov falling to qualifier Thiago Seyboth-Wild 6-1, 7-5. The Brazilian has been dominant in his 4 matches thus far this tournament, not yet dropping a set. Looking at the women now, the Mamas have been having a time at tennis paradise. 2019 finalist Angelique Kerber scored her first top 10 win since returning from maternity leave, beating fellow major champion Elena Ostapenko 5-7, 6-3, 6-3. Kerber had to battle hard against the Latvian, who had a set and a break advantage here. This was a very impressive win from Angelique, as Ostapenko is one of the hottest players on tour at the moment, as she has 2 titles to her name. Kerber's win marks the first time since Wimbledon 2022 that she's won 2 consecutive matches on tour. Now, Angie will look to claim her 3rd when she takes on 17th seed Veronika Kudermetova on Sunday. Now, Angie's friend Caroline Wozniacki also scored a big win, taking down 25th seed Donna Vekic 7-6, 6-3. It's great to see Carol finally regain some form, as she suffered some pretty rough losses previously at the Australian Open and the San Diego Open, where she started strong but really tailed off towards the end physically. Carol has a great opportunity to go deep this tournament as well, as she now faces wildcard and 131st ranked Katie Volynets, who took down 6th seed Ons Jabeur 6-4, 6-4. Jabeur did pull out of the Dubai 1000 due to a knee injury, so preparations for this tournament likely weren't that great. I hope she really is able to get healthy and turn things around soon, because like I keep mentioning, things have not been great for her since losing that Wimbledon final last year to Vondrousova. Many people were anticipating another thriller between Iga Swiatek and Danielle Collins in their Indian Wells second round battle. The first 6 games were competitive, but after 3-all, Iga upped the ante and didn't drop another game, sending the American packing with a score of 6-3, 6-love. Iga will be looking for revenge in round 3 as she faces Linda Noskova next, the same woman who sent her packing at the Australian Open this year. Speaking of rematches, Jasmine Paolini and Anna Kalinskaya will score off again in a rematch of the Dubai final a couple weeks back, as they'll face each other in the 3rd round. There's a bit of opportunity there for both players in that section with the absence of Rybakina. Looking down, the 4th section in the top half is completely intact as all seeds still remain, and it is low-key very tough, with Beatrice Haddad-Maia taking on Pavlyuchenkova, and then Marta Kostyuk taking on Vondrousova. Now, this result is a bit old, but I do want to talk about Venus Williams' return to the sport in her first match since the US Open. Williams lost 2-6, 6-3, 6-love to Nao Habino, but she was up 6-2, 3-all, 40-love before she tailed off and, of course, didn't win another game. You can tell the talent, of course, is there. Venus is a legend. She hits the ball incredibly well, but you gotta be realistic. She's 43 years old and she's severely restricted by her movement. Her serve also let her down very bad. She hit 10 double faults in that match, and they all came in bunches and in inopportune times. Is it time for her to hang it up? That's been the conversation every time Venus plays and loses. She's a legend, of course, as I mentioned, and she still brings in a lot of fans, but my main concern for her isn't whether she quote-unquote embarrasses herself on court, like she did at the US Open, but it's just her body being able to hold up. It seems like every time we see her, she's falling on the court, she's grabbing at her knee. She has that knee brace sometimes in practice, and I just want her to live a good life. She does not have to kill herself, kill her body out there playing tennis, but she's an independent woman. She's free to do whatever she pleases, and of course she has a big passion for tennis, so who am I to tell her what and what not to do. Venus will look to bounce back next week at Miami as she has a wild card there. Now, a two-time major champion Simona Halep also received a wild card into the Miami Open after her 4-year doping suspension was reduced to 9 months, which she had already served. Halep has not played on tour since the 2022 US Open, which is when she tested positive for roxadustat, a banned substance. The International Tennis Integrity Agency also found irregularities in Halep's athlete biological passport. Halep appealed the 4-year ban to the Court of Attribution of Sport, which said that the Romanian had no sufficient fault or no significant fault for ingesting the drug through a contaminated supplement. Surprisingly, Halep has been met with quite a bit of support from her fans and peers, which is a stark contrast from what Maria Sharapova experienced in 2017 following her Meldonian ban. I plan on making a video on the disparity in treatment between Maria and Simona because I do think it is interesting how Simona is widely supported by the tennis industry. Now, some rather disappointing yet unsurprising news was announced recently, and that is Netflix's Breakpoint tennis docuseries will not return for a 3rd season. Breakpoint was inspired by the F1 docuseries Drive to Survive, which followed Formula One drivers, and that docuseries was a big success as it got a lot more people interested in that sport. This documentary aimed to do the same thing by spotlighting players, young and upcoming players, and its theme was kind of focusing on how tennis is grappling with some of its biggest stars like Serena, Roger, and Nadal retiring from the sport. Now, Breakpoint premiered in 2013 with 10 episodes in season 1, and in season 2, which premiered in 2024, that only has 6 episodes, which to me kind of signified a decline in what was to come. The failure of Breakpoint honestly is largely due to the lack of compelling stars that the series focused on. There really were not many interesting storylines, to be honest, in this series. Season 1 honestly was far better at highlighting the drama, like the dynamic of Felix Auger-Aliassime being coached by Uncle Tony while playing Nadal at Roland Garros. This season did have some highs, like when they spotlighted Holger Rune, who is a very polarizing character on tour. However, they dedicated an entire episode to Alexander Zverev, who is an alleged domestic abuser, and they didn't even mention those allegations in the episode once, which was very irresponsible for them to do. Breakpoint also couldn't net big stars of the sport like the Big Three or Serena, and couldn't get them to sit down and do an interview, which really would have helped a lot in getting more people interested in the docuseries. It is disappointing, but it's honestly up to content creators like me to help grow the sport. Don't worry, I got y'all covered. I'm gonna help grow tennis and make tennis great again. Anyways, closing this video out, looking ahead to Saturday's day of play at Indian Wells, Coco Gauff and Aryna Sabalenka began their tournaments against Clara Burel and Peyton Stearns respectively. Burel and Stearns are very talented young players, and I actually spotlighted them both in my Young WTA Players to Watch in 2024 video, so check it out if y'all haven't checked it out yet. Now, while they are good players, I think the experience of Coco and Aryna should prevail and get them through in the end. Meanwhile, former champions Taylor Fritz and Novak Djokovic also headline Stadium 1 play, as well as last year's runner-up Daniil Medvedev. Looking at other popcorn matches we have here, Naomi Osaka is seeking her first top 20 win in 2 years versus 14th seed Ludmila Samsonova. Maria Sakkari is playing her first match under her new coach David Witt, who previously coached Pegula. She's facing talented young Russian Diana Schneider. On the men's side, I'm looking forward to Holger Rune facing Milos Raonic, as well as Lorenzo Musetti, who meets Denis Shapovalov. The winners of those 2 matches will meet in round 3. Meanwhile, Tommy Paul squares off against talented young compatriot Alex Mikkelsen, and then Gael Monfils faces 8th seed Hubert Hurkacz, which is sure to be a treat. That's all I have for this Indian Wells update, and let me know in the comments your thoughts on the withdrawals, the results, Halep's comeback, and Breakpoint's cancellation. Make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so you're notified whenever I post more updates throughout the Sunshine Double. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you soon in the next video.